Every night I sit back and worry, what am I gonna demo today? Hey y'all, this is Brad at Main Stage Music, and we are here for our second gear demo of 2022. And you know, I'll tell you, I know that last time we got all sorts of people who were really excited by the guitar that we demoed. And so I thought, you know what? We got to show people some cool gear that can go with their guitar or their bass or their anything, right? Because a guitar demo is just going to show and help people who are playing guitar. But the item that we're going to be talking about today is something that can really benefit, I just hit my guitar against a mic stand, can really benefit anybody. So first of all, I want to encourage y'all to follow, like, share, blah, blah, blah. But also, we welcome and love your comments. So if you have any questions, comments, or so on, you feel free to text them in, and I'm sure someone will answer them. My phone is sitting somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it. But anyways, the product that we're going to be talking today about is made by Boss, okay? Boss, for people who know gear, is made by Roland. It just means it's a guitar-related product from Roland. And Roland has been the industry leader for, 50 plus years now. It's a Japanese company, and I'll tell you what, they're very intuitive. Roland's one of the few companies I can really think of that wasn't like, oh, we saw a need and then we created the need. They were more like, let's create gear that creates a style of music. It's pretty cool. So today's product is a really neat little piece of gear called the DR-01S. And the DR-01S is a little drum machine, but it's really neat in that it's designed for people who are, let's just say, wanting a drum machine in their home that is simple to use and isn't, let's just say, one-sided or designed just for kind of the normal drum machine use, which, for people who've been around this a while, drum machines started off with kind of fake-sounding robot noises and so on. And now almost all of them use sampled drum sounds. Now, that just means that it's actually a recorded drum sound. So the sound that you're hearing is actual drums, okay? And so they're, to say they're realistic is kind of a misnomer. They're actual drums. So, I mean, they sound phenomenal. So a lot of people go, well, that's all well and good if you just want that straight drum beat. But, I tell you, man, I'm kind of more of an acoustic guy, and I want, the sound of some percussion and stuff. So Boss was listening, and they created this drum machine with that guy in mind, okay? Or gal, for that matter, that person in mind. So the DR-1, first of all, just kind of a quick layout, it's different in that it has a built-in speaker right here. So unlike a lot of drum machines that you have to plug your drum machine into a guitar amp or speaker or something, this one is perfectly capable just sitting on your desk, okay, or coffee end table, whatever. It actually is nice. This is kind of a maple trim, kind of a dark brown grill cloth. It's a very classy looking box. Some people may just assume that it's a little clock radio or something like that, which kind of leads us to the next thing. So you're hearing the drum machine really well, I would hope, through our broadcast here, right? So that is because this drum machine has a line out. So we are plugging this directly into our sound equipment so that you guys can hear a perfectly clear sound at home. So let's say, for example, you're playing with it at home and the little speaker's just fine, but then you have some friends come over and you're like, hey man, we can't barely hear that. Well, you can take the line out of this and plug it into a larger speaker. You could plug it into, maybe if you have a home theater, you could do that. Or if you just have a guitar amp or bass amp or whatever that has another input, you can plug it in and boom, you've got your sound coming through there. So that's a nice feature. So you could use it in a professional setting. Another great feature is the fact that, hey, look, Ma, no hands, and I can make it start and stop when I want. That's because it has a foot switch output on the back. Now, what's neat about that foot switch output is that it's actually a dual function foot switch that you can plug in. So you can plug in a standard single button foot switch, but the one I'm using today is made by Boss again, and it's a 2-button foot switch called the FS7. You have a button in the front and you have a button in the back. These are fully assignable buttons. So on the first button here, I've got it assigned to turn it off and on. And on this button, I've assigned it just for a little splash sound. Now you might think, well, why would you want a little splash sound like that? Well, because sometimes a song, when you're playing with even accompaniment drums and stuff, you know, the drummer will hit it with a little cymbal. So that's kind of a way where I could get started. So that's a neat little feature that you can do. Now, it's the only drum machine I know of that has that assignable foot switch. Normally, the drum machines that you'll see out there will possibly have a couple of outputs. One will simply say start, stop, and then they'll have a separate output that says fill. And the fills are kind of like what I was doing there, where I hit a button and get a splash, but their fills will be some sort of a little bit more complex, dunk, 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 or something like that. So this, on the other hand, I could actually assign those buttons to maybe adjust my tempo. I could actually put a different sound other than a splash. I could pick whatever sound I wanted to and put it in there that's built into the unit. So it's neat that they're fully assignable. So I really like that feature as well. Another feature that's neat about the DR-01, other than, you know, the stuff we've already talked about, is the fact that you can do a count in. Now the count in feature is right here. You just simply push the button. And then when you start it, it doesn't just start abruptly like what we had just done. So let me demonstrate how this is going to sound now.
1, 2, 3.
So you get a neat little count in. That's helpful because obviously if you're playing with others, it's someone just getting started. Now that count in, you can change. There's different varieties. So these buttons here are your variation buttons. So let's say you didn't like that female vocal that said 1, 2. You can push count in and then select the variation of that. So now this one's just like a sticks. So, but, you know, I'll tell you what, I've been married for so long, I'm used to a woman telling me what to do, so that's kind of why I choose that one. Now, it has, of course, all these other buttons. Now, some people, some of our friends come in here, and they're, I hate to say scared of technology, but they look at stuff with a lot of buttons or knobs, and they're like, I don't know, this looks too complex for me. Let's just go over them. It's actually fairly intuitive, okay? So, first of all, you can see that the button that we have highlighted here simply says drums. Underneath this one, it says metronome, okay? So metronome is just what it sounds like.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a metronome. So it's just a click. If you want the drums and the metronome, you push the drums along with it. Anything, these are all your instruments. Any of these can be layered on top of each other in any way you want. So let's say, like, just so you have an idea of the different sounds, you have cajon, you have conga, then you have hand clap and bongo, tambourine and claves, shaker and maracas. So here's an example of what those sound like. So just like an egg shaker, right? Here's tambourine. Here's hand clap. Here's conga. And cajon. Sorry about that coughing, guys. I swear I don't have COVID. But now here's what's fun. You can blend these together. So, I mean, cajon sounds kind of cool. I mean, we've all heard that one coffee shop guy, you know. But I'll tell you what sounds even better. Let's add some conga. See, it all jives along with it. Let's add some tambourine. Little shaker. Just those little touches. And, you know, you can hear pretty well at home. The quality, the fidelity is fantastic.
Said it's alright, you know it's alright, you know it's all in my heart. You'll be my only, my one and only, that's the way it should start.
Very cool. So, I mean, you basically have an entire percussion section behind you. You just pick and choose which one you want. Okay, we got some comments coming in. Let me address those. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's some nice boots and gear too. By the way, I would like to go ahead and get a photo on these boots here. These are, oh, can you get them? Yeah, there we go. These are some fantastic boots. They're Eddie Bauer, and they were a gift from my friend Adam, and I want to thank you so much. They're getting some great use, and they're very comfortable, and thank you so much, as always. Anyways, Kyle chimes in. He goes, he's quite angry. He says, quit making me want to spend money. Jeez, Brad. Kyle, I'm sorry, man. It's what we do. Okay, so moving right along. Now, you might, if you've ever listened to, if you knew that song, by the way, you must be in your 40s, because that was the Stone Temple Pilots version of Dancin' Days off the Encomium, a tribute to Led Zeppelin album, which everybody my age loved. So, but you might say, man, that was a little bit slow. You're right, it was. So how do I change that? Well, there's two ways of doing that. So let's get back to the beat we had.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You can do it two ways. You have right here where it says tempo. You can bring it up a little bit. Pretty simple, right? But let's say for some of us who just want a more organic way, you just tap how fast you want it to go. You tap how fast, it automatically picks up on it. All right, so now here's another thing that's always, let's say, bugged me about a lot of drum machines. And that is, you know, a lot of songs, when you listen to them on the album or whatnot, they don't just abruptly stop. Now, sometimes they do, but sometimes they have that fade out feature, okay? I think that's a really neat feature. So this is the first drum machine I've seen that has a fade out feature. I mean, we got to count in, right? So why wouldn't you want to have a nice fade out, nice and smooth? Let me show you how to do that. It's very simple. All you do is you press where it says exit right here, and then you press this button, and then where it says 0, 0, it tells you how many seconds of fade out you have. So watch, let's increase that a little bit. Let's do 3 seconds of fade out. So now here's what it's going to sound like.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Now we're going to fade out. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? See, I like that fade out feature because it's not just blomp. You know, I mean, because if you're playing live, and I could easily see myself using this thing live, you know, people are enjoying the company and whatever, but they all pick up on the fact that you have that sharp cutoff or one. Another thing, if you're, I can already hear the questions coming. You could say, well, if you're going to play live, why would you have someone 1, 2, 3, but I still want the count in? Well, like I showed you, there's different variations of the count in. But there's another thing you can do. You can adjust the volume of it, okay? So if you hold it, see where it says I'm bringing the volume down? Now I can bring the volume down pretty quiet, okay? Let's bring it down to 30. Let's now listen to how loud.
1, 2, 3, 4.
See, so now with it a lot quieter, it might just sound like someone in the band going 1, 2, ready, go. So I like the fact that you can adjust the count-in volume. You can also, of course, add and subtract any instrument that you want in here. There's actually, if you see any of these that say shaker and then slash maracas or tambourine slash claves or whatever, they actually have a lot of sound variations in them. So now, of course, we don't have enough time to sit around and listen to every sound that's in here. So let's start with shaker, okay? You can play the shaker
1,
here.
2, 3, 4.
We'll go to variation. You can also push the exit button in variation, and it'll jump to different instruments. See, now that's a maraca. That's a sleigh bell. Okay. That sounds kind of fun. Okay, whatever. So you've got all sorts of cool little... Let's see where else we got here. Okay. So those are your different variations of that particular one. There's also, like in the tambourine, you have different variations of tambourine, obviously. But if you hit exit and variation at the same time, that's pretty cool. And there's your clave. Hey. Sounds like mountain there. Little triangle sound. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Create all sorts of cool beats on the fly just by playing around with whatever. You can also, if you are getting real high tech, you can use your foot switch to take in specific instruments in or out of the song. I'm telling you, it just does a lot of neat things, and of course, it's just, you know, it's a whole lot of fun. Now, here's one thing. So I was watching my friend Robert. And Robert has a band where he's using a drum machine as their drummer. Their drummer had some surgery, and so they still had gigs, but their drummer couldn't be there. They figured, we can't fill in quick enough, so let's just get a drum machine. Well, what Robert was doing is he's writing down the tempos and the favorites and whatever on a little sheet of paper and having to turn the knob to where he wanted it. And it sounded pretty good, you know. Granted, it didn't have that kind of organic flow, but for the most of the part, it worked really well. Well, with this, you might think, oh yeah, that's one thing with a standard drum machine where it's just, you know, a drum beat. But how do I do that if I had that cool little, you know, claves and, you know, maracas and congas and all this kind of stuff, but the next setting I want just straight drums? Well, they have given you the ability to program 50 different, what they call favorites. And you just you hit favorites right here, and you can go through different favorite sounds, right? So that's favorite 1. Now, these are obviously just programmed from the factory, but let's say you had, you know, a setting or sound that you really liked, okay, that worked. I'm sorry. So you had a specific sound that you liked and that you wanted saved. All you do, it's no harder than setting a favorite on your radio on your car or truck. All you do is you get the sound the way you want it, you press and hold favorite on whichever number you want until it flashes, and then it's saved. So you could actually, if a guy had, let's say, 50 different songs in his repertoire, he could save it from favorite 01 to favorite 50 and then just toggle right through them. And the tempo would be saved, the settings that you had, all that kind of stuff would be saved. And yes, I'll go ahead and answer this. With a foot switch, you can program the foot switch to click to the different favorites if you want to. So otherwise, you can just push the favorites button and then push start and stop as you will. So that's a really neat feature as well. So, I mean, really, it's like, by the way, I want to make sure that comments are being... Okay, so is that whistle heat how coaches hype up their players before a game of soccer? It's called football. And then how much is this unit? This unit is remarkably inexpensive. I know you're waiting for like the, who was the guy, Ron Popeil, you know, where you go, and that's not all. And cleanup is a snap. You know? But then you're like, oh, great. It's like 18 payments of... $99.99 or actually this is extremely affordable. I think it's $249. So it's actually pretty inexpensive by drum machine standards. And most drum machines, as I mentioned, don't have a built-in speaker. They don't have all these fade in, fade out, blah, 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 blah controls. They're pretty much just straight, drum kits that you can toggle through. That's why we like this one. So many of our customers are playing acoustics, playing electrics, playing bass. I mean, can you really be a bass player without having some sort of beat behind you? And that's what makes you a better player. We had someone at the store ask today, well, how do I get better? And they knew practice and whatever. But really the best way I've ever answered that is play with others, right? I mean, there's an old saying, it takes a village, right, to raise a kid. But really, it's no different than learning something or learning a foreign language, learning music, whatever. If you can use other people to kind of bounce ideas off of and draw from what they're doing, you will get better just by, playing with them and pulling from that. So this isn't exactly a person. It actually listens a lot better. Just kidding. It starts and stops when you tell it to. So, I mean, this is a great way for people to kind of have that other person to play along with when you don't have another person to play along with. And so really, it's a brilliant little tool. Oh, here's another thing that I absolutely love. You can't really see because, you might be able to see. So there's only 2 cables coming out of the back of this thing. That's because this unit is being powered by batteries. So you can just put some AA batteries in this thing and it'll run for hours and hours, easily through gigs and then some, okay? And so now just think how nice that is. If you're just playing acoustic, like you're not plugging in and you're just using the speaker on that, you could literally just take this, put it in the middle of the room, have a get together, and boom, you've got your drummer right there. You don't have to tether some AC cord and all this nonsense. You just put the batteries in and you're ready to go. And the volume of this thing naturally is really good. I mean, honestly, you're not going to blow the windows out of a place, but then as I said, if you want to use it for a gig, you can do that too. It's small enough, as you can see. I mean, you probably didn't even notice it when it first popped up. It's small enough where you could really have it right on like a little stand. They even make little trays on the side of a mic stand that this would be light enough and small enough where you could have it right there. program your favorites and so on, and then just run the line out to a direct box, okay, and then that into one of your mic channels, and boom, you can hear how nice and clean and clear, no static. You know, the drum machine sounds great. We'll get it out of favorites mode here. And
1, 2, 3, 4.
oh, I didn't have anything turned on. There we go. Let's just go all stops out. Man, look at that. Fade in, fade out. I got a couple of little fills in there in my absolutely terrible C, F, and G jam for you. But anyways, these little demos are really just to kind of inspire you guys a little bit and give you some ideas, because you know what? It's amazing that this kind of stuff is sitting on the shelves and not selling more as many people who come in and look for stuff like this. So again, that's today's little demo. It's the Boss DR-01. Come on down and check one out. Just full disclosure, the pedal doesn't come with it. Okay, it's sold separately. It sells, I think, for $74. One thing that's really cool about Boss equipment, though, is that it works with almost every other piece of Boss gear. So like you could use the same pedal if you had, let's say, a Boss delay pedal, a Boss distortion pedal, any pedal that Boss has where it says foot switch in or something like that, you can use this pedal to work with it. So a Katana amplifier, any of that stuff will work with this. So it's about $70. And then of course there's a cable that's going from the pedal to the back of this unit, and that's, you know, whatever cables cost, $13 or something like that. So, but full disclosure, it's not expensive. The power supply is included in the box, but very, very simple to use and understand. And yeah, come on down and pick you one up. But again, thank you so much for watching our show. I'm Brad at Mainstage Music, and just keep on jamming.